Hello, this is TurboDog702 for the Castlevania Symphony of the Night Any % tutorial. In this section of the tutorial, I will be doing a brief overview, if you will, of the Richter skip, trying to give you an idea of why it works the way it does, and some of the methods that you can get to kind of activate it up. I will be covering more specific methods in other videos, but this is just kind of an overview, gets you a little bit acquainted with the idea behind the Richter skip. So let's jump right in. Okay, right here we're right outside of where Richter is, basically. If we were to continue off this way, you will see that the door, the archway that leads to the Richter room, it like blocks off. It creates its own zone, is basically what it does. If we were to walk in at this time, it would basically trigger the Richter cutscene, and we'd have to fight him. We're trying to avoid that, obviously, because we do not have the holy glasses, so we can't get to the second castle, and without doing the second castle, you're running a different category of speedrun. So, the primary way, so basically what we are trying to do in the end of all this, is we're trying to make it so that this zone breaks. And what I mean by that is, if you initiate certain things to skip the trigger, that triggers this split, this sectioning off of this long hallway, you can basically force the game to think that you already cleared him, or to not load the trigger itself. There's a few ways to do this. One of the first ones that I'm aware of that was discovered was to basically avoid the trigger using wolf relics, and what that involves is making a big fast jump using all the wolf relics from the bottom staircase over the broken part and basically jumping through here. And you jump in such a way that you skip the trigger, and as you run, it will actually just continue on into the actual room. That way you won't get this zoning effect. Like if I was standing right here and I had triggered the glitch, it would just continue on through the long hallway. It wouldn't stop here. Other ways you can do it would be to skip the trigger by using a bat transformation around here. And what you're doing there is you're basically removing your hitbox. When you transform into the bat, there's a very specific frame of animation during your transformation where the bat actually has no hitbox. And if you zone at that particular frame, it basically acts as though you have skipped the trigger in much the same way. So those are two ways that you can skip the trigger in order to perform the Richter skip. The last one that I'm going to mention is one that I'm particularly bad at, but I'm going to mention it. It's called CCF, Canine Castle Fusion. It's a wolf clip, which I explained inside of another video inside of the Alucard Advanced Mechanics. And what that allows you to do is it basically allows you to use your wolf to disjoint your hitbox during untransformation and end up inside the wall. And what that looks like is something like this. When you actually execute it, you'll end up inside of the wall like this. And using this, while the other ones you skip the trigger, this one you skip the trigger by going out of bounds. Like this. So you'll notice I'm actually over the top of the stage at this point. You know, and there's the staircase. And you would basically just continue on and go to the teleporter. Those are the two basic principles to it, is basically skipping the trigger. Well, it's skipping the trigger, and then there's three methods. You can either use the wolf relics to jump over it, you can use the bat's disappearing hitbox in order to skip the trigger that way, or you can basically go out of bounds and skip the trigger in that fashion. That'll do it for the basic summary and kind of a slight explanation on how the glitch works. Later on I will be posting other videos soon after this one that will explain some of the different ways that you can do the Richter skip. This is TurboDog702 for the Castlevania Symphony of the Night Any % tutorial.